So I just got finished driving the Rx7 about an hour ago. Found out that, well, I didn't really find this out, but I really realized that I can't save my power steering pump. So it's it went from clacking to almost a full out uh, metal bearing on metal sound. So I'm pretty sure it's done. It's not a big surprise, considering that I had discovered it making noise the other day. Um, and it turns out it could be completely my fault. I don't know how I screwed this up, but it was making some noise, and I checked the fluid level. It was the reservoir appeared to be empty, and I was like, really? How can this be? I, the only thing I can think of is when I reinstalled it, when I swapped the engine, well, put the engine back in. I when I put fluid in it, I didn't turn the steering wheel, lock the lock a couple times to let it get good go through the system, and then check the fluid level again. I didn't do that. Um, and so essentially I had to pay the price because now it's gone. It's not a terrible thing, and it's not even the worst thing that I discovered today or I had problems with today. The other thing I had a problem with was uh, weird uh, thumping sound when driving. I only hear when the car is moving, um, and it seems to be related to how the car is moving around. It sounds like it could be just the struts, since I know all four are gone. So it could just be the sound of the struts hitting something, internally. Um, but it wasn't really uh, well defined on where it was coming from. So I had that noise going on. Then I'm trying to listen to find out where that sound's coming from. On top of that, I got a new exhaust leak, which appeared pretty much in the last 24 hours. I don't know where it came from. Well, I'm not saying it's the last 24 hours because I haven't driven a car in about 4 days, but it started today. Let's say it that way. Why is this making a sound? Don't know. It wasn't making any sounds before, or at least not this loud. Now there's definitely an exhaust leak somewhere. And then on top of that, it sounds like something's loose. What I hope I hear that's loose is part of the exhaust hitting the car. Maybe the exhaust is loose because I do have two hangers that's missing. So I'm hoping that that's the case. If not, um, what I was hoping is not is the transmission moving, because the transmission is only bolted on using that one um, angle piece of metal that I have down there, and I'm hoping that that's not moving. Uh, I had to put the car in the lift to actually check on all that stuff. And of course, I got this metal rattling. I think that's the air bypass pipe hitting its mount because it's on this. It just has a metal flange with a hole in it, and a piece of the main cap goes through it, and it's very likely to be banging up against that part. It's not. If that's the case, then I can. There's ways around it. I can put a little, maybe just put a little rubber bushing on it, and that would be done. But I'm hoping that that's the case. Otherwise, I got an exhaust leak. It's loud. Not loud as in it's not terrible, but it's loud, way too loud for it should be an exhaust leaks in that car. And the only thing I think of is maybe I blew one of the exhaust seals from on the cat, or maybe where the uh, primary cats mounted to the manifold, because I didn't. That's the one gasket I didn't replace. So I got that going on. I got the random noise. I got the um, power steering pump is gone. Um, exhaust leak. Struts are gone. Pretty much already know that. And to top it all off, I decided I was gonna see how when I stopped, I was driving and I stopped it to check on how it felt because something just didn't seem right. So I pulled into this parking lot and I put in neutral and I stuffed in the gas to see how it responded to RPM change. And as it approached 5,000 RPMs, it started feeling rough. Now that should never happen. At least not to my memory. My memory isn't that damn bad to a point where I don't remember it getting smoother the higher RPM, and it got rough. I didn't take it past 5 because the engine's still being broken in. Um, but it got real rough, and I was like, okay, why is it rough? Shouldn't be rough. Shouldn't be rough at all. Um, Especially not as rough as it became. Now at the lower RPMs, the engine is not rough at all. It's exactly the way I assume it should be. Um, but at that high RPM, it was not happy. Now I was thinking to myself because this is right when I realized that the power steering pump was completely failed. That maybe that roughness I felt wasn't the actual engine, but coming from the accessory belt. The fact that the pump is destroyed. Maybe. I'm hoping that's the case. Otherwise, only thing I can think of is that rear rotor is a different weight, significantly different weight than the front rotor. Um, Thus, it's off balance. Otherwise, I don't know why it would be rough. I mean, of course, there's some other things I can think of, like such as uh, spark not being able to keep up. Fuel secondary is not able to keep up. Basically, running a lean condition. Um, those two things I am worried about. I'm more worried about that than the rotor not being the right weight at this point. Um, uh, but yeah, that's really what's bothering me right now. Power steering. I just purchased the power steering pump along with struts for all the way around, and a spring compressor. Hopefully this I don't. I mean, I'm gonna do this reusing the old springs. It's probably a stupid idea. It's probably really stupid. But we'll see. Um, I know that this is not the end of it. This is about my suspension problems. I mean, the car doesn't really drift or anything like that, but his bumps hit him hard. I know, and the alignment actually seems to be correct right now. It doesn't seem to be wobbling. It doesn't seem to be pulling to one left side or right. Um, so, but I know the tire ends probably needs to be replaced. I can't remember if I did these or not. I really can't remember. I know I did them on a Honda. Um, I honestly can't. I might have even already done these, years ago on this car, but I can't remember. I remember doing one car, but I don't remember this one. Um, Tire ends, but regardless, tire ends probably need to be replaced. Control arm bushings, all of them need to go. This car is, 23 years old. I guarantee you that every rubber bushing on that suspension is gone. Um, and maybe that's part of the noise I was hearing is, those bushings, because it's exceptionally cold outside, and I know exceptionally cold cars suspension makes additional noises when they're worn. So that also could have been part of it. I just didn't like that sound. Um, and ball joints need to be replaced. I don't even know what the condition they are. Hell, I don't even know what the condition the rear brakes in because I haven't even looked. Probably not good, but I'm going to soon find out when I go take all this stuff off. And I figure at that point, that's when I will start buying stuff, such as brakes, rotors, because I don't know if I need new rotors in the rear. In the front, the rotors actually seem to be decent. I didn't see a problem with them. Past, from what I saw, it didn't look bad either. The car didn't really get fused, it seems as though. So it's not like The rotors on this car actually looks like they're probably in better condition than they are on my Honda. Um, at least my Honda, maybe not my Mazda 6. My 6 has recent-ish rotors I replaced when I first got the car, um, which was actually about the same time I bought this car. So, oh no, when I get the parts in and I start tearing it down, uh, that's when I'm going to discover, hopefully, um, what possibly could be wrong with the suspension. I would like to, before I do this, to drive it to auto hobby shop, put it on a lift, to see what it looks like on the car, to see if if there's a significant exhaust leak somewhere. Um, because that would make me feel a lot better if I knew there was an exhaust leak someplace that was easy. Oh, this pipe is right here, because then I could deal with that. But right now, I'm hearing kind of rattling, don't know where it's coming from. The exhaust has gotten significantly louder. Um, Hoping that it's not something like a crack, uh, which wouldn't be a tremendous big deal if it's like a manifold crack, because if it is manifold crack, not fix it, because with turbo coming in later, there's no reason me to go get another manifold. Even if manifold is dirt cheap, there's no reason me to go pay for another manifold when I'm just going to eventually take it out anyway and replace it with turbo. The whole idea is to make sure the engine is working properly before I take the next step. If it turns out that I can't hot rail this engine for some reason, it's going to ruin the whole thing, and that's going to be a whole other issue. Why does it become rough at high RPMs? Car only has about let's see here, maybe 280 miles on it so far on that engine. Transmission, of course, mileage is unknown. Um, so and there's some things I got to deal with. Some things other than the obviously suspension problems I have to deal with, and find out if that noise I'm hearing is from the exhaust hitting the car. Um, I need to make sure I reinforce this transmission mount, because that really makes me feel nervous at this point. I really don't want to. I really want to be easy with it, because I don't trust that mount to be able to do a really good job of being able to hold that transmission in place um, while I do a harder launch or brake real hard. Anything that would shock the drivetrain. Those things worry me. So I think I'm have to get some type of metal fabricated up, and maybe at least for the time being bolted in, um, so that I can keep it from moving as much as possible. Ideally, it needs to be replaced with a thicker piece of metal, um, but that'll have to come later. A thicker piece of metal and mount it correctly. The best thing to do would be to somehow mount it uh, the way it sits in the car normally. That would be ideal. And I probably should. Now I'm thinking about it, I probably should have did it that way, but I didn't. So I'm gonna see if I can find some way to make that stiffer. I mean, right now it seems to be stiff. It doesn't seem to have a lot of movement, but because of the way it is designed, or should I say installed or whatever, it has room to move laterally, and it's not a whole lot of room, but the metal's thin, and it came a little side to side a little bit. So if I can remove its ability to move side to side, I think I would feel a lot better. If I had additional mounting points, um, I would feel a lot better. But yeah, that's about it. Hopefully get these parts in. Yeah, dude. take it from there.